And welcome to another round of Sports Views. Tonight, I am discussing and presenting the 2022 Toronto FC Player Pyramid. Tonight, I will do the ranking for the Player Pyramid of 2022. Which tier is each player in? And I'll talk about why they're in that tier. And let's get it going. Of course, I'll also talk about the players that have been out. And what do these tiers mean before we get into it? Top tier means you're the best of the best. You are the superstars of the team. Second tier means you're great players and you are a big contributor. Third tier means you're a good player, more than a squad player, but can make a contribution when called upon. Fourth tier, squad players. They do what they got to do, and they're okay and serviceable, but not bad. Sometimes they're bad, but not bad enough, but they're still serviceable. Fifth tier means you're the worst. You suck. That is what it is. So before we get into this, I want to say, hit that join button or hit that second link in my description to become a member on this channel. $1.99 a month or $4.99 a month. Anything's appreciated. Also, subscribe. Hit that big red bell notification. Comment, like. Put super chats in the live streams once we have those and all that great stuff. And let's get into this player pyramid. First off, the players out this season. Josie Altidore went to the New England Revolution. Omar Gonzalez, New England as well. Richie Larea, gone to Nottingham Forest. Jefferson Soteldo to Tigres. Justin Morrow, retired. Eric Zavaleta, training with LA Galaxy, but not signed yet. Tsubasa Endo to Melbourne City in the A-League. Kevin Silva left the club. Nick DeLeon left the club. Liam Fraser has gone to, was it Belgium, Netherlands? Something like that. Erickson Gallardo, gone. Dom Dwyer, gone. Patrick Mullins, gone. Mark Delgado to the LA Galaxy. Julian Dunn to HamCam. Griffin Dorsey went to Houston midway through last season. Rocco Romeo, Kamar Lawrence, and Auro Jr. are all out of the club, and Talon Maples as well. He had just left to Houston Dynamo 2 and MLS Next Pro. He's still on this player pyramid, but we will deal with that, and I will touch on him again once we get to him. And there we go. So first off, our first tier, our top tier players. Not so used to doing this. There we go. I got it now. There we go. Alejandro Pozuelo and Lorenzo Insigne are our top tier players because of course they are. Why wouldn't they be? Pozuelo and Insigne. Pozuelo, been at the club since 2019, a star, DP, former MVP of MLS, great player, and I think he gets back to his old form. That'll do. That'll do. Yeah. That'll do. That'll do. He'll get back to his old form. I really think so. Great player. Last season was a clown show for him. I think he wants to do better, and I think he will do better. I have high hopes for Pozuelo, and he'll do just fine once he gets back this year. Lorenzo Insigne, new player, comes in during the summer, but he's officially a Red. Lorenzo Insigne, 4-year deal, big signing in the offseason. New player, orange means new player, if you don't remember. Insigne deserves to be here. Where else would he be? Where else would he be on a top tier list? Where would he be? Exactly. Nowhere but the top tier, especially for Toronto FC. He definitely will do great things this year for the club, and I'm very hopeful that he has a MVP level season in his first season in MLS, which I guess that means he'd win Newcomer of the Year. But yeah, that's the first tier. Pozuelo, Alejandro Pozuelo, and Lorenzo Insigne, obviously, I think. And let's get into the second tier. Tier 2 as well. Let's get into Tier 2. Taping these down were not the best idea. Taping down these covers were not the best idea. Ah, there we go. There we go. There we go. All right. That'll do. That'll do. All right. So first off, Io Akinola in the second tier. Good striker. Coming off ACL injury, but I still think he's talented enough to be in the second tier. He's still a talented striker. I think he's an amazing player, and I think he'll come back with something to prove. He's back. They re-signed him, and I think he'll do just fine. I really do. Next up, Chris Mavinga, center back. Deserves to be the second tier. He was not the problem at all during last season defensively. Yeah, he had some injuries, but I'm totally not going to blame him. I'm blaming Gonzalez, Zavaleta, and others, so on and so forth. Next up, Carlos Salcedo, signed from Tigres, DP at least for half the season. Good center back. He looks rejuvenated. He looks ready to take on TFC and do great things for the club. So I'm very happy with Carlos Salcedo being in the second tier, being a starting center back. He looked amazing against Chicago, and I have high hopes for Carlos. Next up, Noble Okello, wonderful center midfielder. He's got the tools. He may be a little bit raw, but he's young. He's definitely good. He goes up a tier from tier 3 last year. That's what green means. He's a great player. I have high hopes for Noble. I think he's a great midfielder. He's definitely a player for the future as well. After Priso leaves at some point, because God knows he will. And I have high hopes. High hopes for Noble Okello. Next up, again, Ralph Priso. Still in tier 2. Center defensive mid. Recovering from an ankle Achilles injury. Strong player. I think he'll definitely have a great season this year as well, coming back from that injury. I have high hopes, again, for Ralph Priso. Great player and all that. He'll do just fine. Next up, Quentin Westberg, goalkeeper. I think he should be the striker. Bob Bradley, honestly, the starter, not striker, the starter. But Bob Bradley doesn't know exactly where he's going to go with it. It is what it is. I'm not going to complain about it. He's a good goalkeeper, but I think the defense will protect all of them. I think Westberg is still the best on the team. I think Ranjit Singh looked good against Chicago, but I really can't say if that was just one game or more. Next up, Achara. Ifun Inyachi Achara goes up a tier. I still think he had an amazing season last year once he came back from injury. He was one of the bright spots in a horrible season last year for TFC, and I think he keeps on being a bright spot. Whether he plays striker or plays on the wing, he gets a chance. I have high hopes for Achara. He stays up second tier and definitely is a player for when they need to rotate or he comes on. He's definitely a high prospect. Next up, Jesus Jimenez, brand new striker. Again, orange means he's new to the team or new to the pyramid. Jesus Jimenez from Gornik Zabrze. Great striker. He's already been gelled with the team since he's got there in the preseason. I have high hopes for Jimenez. I definitely think he's a great player, and he's a player worth watching and keeping an eye on. He may be the starting striker on TAM, honestly, if he plays the way I think he will this season, especially this first half. He's a very good striker, very capable, runs well, has great finishing, can also play the wings, so if we do get a starting striker once the summer comes up, like Belotti or Destro or maybe Balotelli, that's not happening, but I'd rather it be that. He could also play the wing, the other side of Insigne, so that's great. And he's a strong player, so I have high hopes for him either way. Second tier. Next up, Jacob Schaffelberg, now playing left wing back. He's not a winger no more. He's playing wing back. And I think he's a very good modern wing back for the situation Toronto has him in. They want him to play wing back instead of winger. I think he's perfect for that. He's an okay defender. He'll learn. He actually played wing back against Independiente in 2019 in his debut, if you remember, in the Champions League. So he's done it before this team. And I think he could do it. I still have high hopes for Schaffelberg. He comes up to tier 2. And I've always been a fan of Jacob, so he's great. Next up, Jordan Peruzza, striker, goes up to tier 2. I think he's a good backup or a good third stringer behind Io and Jimenez and possibly somebody coming in the summer. He's a good player. He's getting older. He's learning the way around a pitch. He's doing everything completely right. He did make a bad miss during the Canadian Championship final, but I don't hold that against him. I'm a big fan of Jordan, and I think he'll keep on going. He's in Tier 2, goes up to Tier 2. Next up, Jonathan Osorio. Stays in Tier 2, one of the big still there figures of this team because, again, we basically said everybody leave. He's a big player who's still there, who's a leader, who has been at TFC since 2013. He has been established. It's his one club. He's still a one-club man, and he's a good player. He's great in the midfield. In a double pivot, I'm totally great with that. He could easily replace Markey, and that's great. And then next up, Jaquil Marshall-Ruddy, again, an outside back, converted up to Tier 2. Young prospect, hot prospect in the world of football. I have high hopes for Jaquil. He's a great player. I think he'll do just great as an outside back, kind of like Trent Alexander-Arnold in a way. Kind of reminds me of that. Jaquil will do just fine. I think he's actually higher up the pyramid as a wing back than a winger. He will get his time this year, though, and I'm happy for him. He's second tier and moved up to the second tier. Now Tier 3. Now Tier 3. Oh, yeah. That was actually perfect. That was actually perfect this time. Okay. It was actually perfect this time compared to last. Yeah, I'm probably going to have to blow this up and actually put it on a whiteboard next year. See, but at least it's not written out. I think that was the main problem of it last time, right? There we go. There we go. All right, next up. Michael Bradley, still on the third tier. Good player. I still have high hopes for Bradley. Let me push this up a bit. We already talked about that. Michael Bradley, good center mid, still a leader. Have high hopes for him this season under his father. Oh. Accidentally put Westberg in the third tier too. Wonder why that happened. All right, let me mark that out. I honestly think he's second tier. How'd I do that? There we go. Okay. And you know what? I'll take Maples out too while we're at it. We're keeping that. All right. But Bradley will be fine. I'm happy with it. He's a good player, and I think he's still a good leader. And I think he'll definitely take less time and less matches this season. Andreas Vikla as a goalkeeper. High hopes for Andreas Vikla. I think he's a good goalkeeper, strong player, and I think he could easily be a backup or starter for TFC. Caden Chung in the third tier. Came from Pacific as well as Lucas McNaughton. Two defenders, strong players, and I like them as depth, center back and left back specifically. I like them as depth, and they're good players as it is, and I think they'll do great with TFC. I have high hopes. Next up, Shane O'Neill, depth center back, but new signing. I think he'll be great on the off times he plays, and he'll do good for the team. Next up, Luke Singh. Hasn't been loaned out yet. Would have been loaned out to Pacific, but that got stopped. So he's still on the team. I think he has time to learn. He'll be a good center back. I have high hopes for him, but we'll see what happens. Kobe Franklin, good outside back. Young player off TFC too. Has time to grow, but I think we have high hopes for him. Luca Petrasso, also an outside back from TFC too. Did well in the preseason. I have high hopes for him. DeAndre Kerr is awesome. He was awesome this preseason. He did well. Striker, winger, out of Syracuse, drafted by TFC. Great player, and he deserves all the plaudits. Next up, Hugo Mbong, the brother of Ralph Priso, a very good player as well. Scored a goal in the final preseason game just yesterday to tie it up against SKC. Good player, has poise, all 17 years old, has poise. A very good future prospect. Could replace his own brother once Priso leaves. And then finally, Jaden Nelson, third tier. He's good. I don't think he's as high level as Priso or Jaquil as a youth prospect. I think Jaden's been overtaken by them. But he's still a good player and good for certain times of the game and certain times of the season. So there you go. And yeah, I accidentally put Westberg in tier 2 and 3. But I really think he's tier 2 now more with the defense protecting him. And Talon Maples, again, had just left as of press time, and I'm not changing. I didn't want to reset this up. So there you go. There we go. And here we go. The final, the 4th tier. Let me just, yeah. No, we'll just leave that alone. Okay. So, players. Luka Gavron. Greg Ranjit Singh, Alex Bono, he's down to the 4th tier. I'm sorry. I'm not putting him 5th tier, but there you go. Rohan Goulburn, Demia Vidad, trialist, good player. Dante Campbell. Yeah. Antonio Carlini, Kosi Thompson, Harris, and Rashawn Walks. Good players, but they're all 4th tier. Or, they're not all good players, but some of them are youth players, some of them are trialists. They're all useful, but sometimes I wouldn't really trust them. And finally, the 5th tier. Let's get to it. Nobody. Nobody's so bad that they go to the 5th tier. The 5th tier is empty. Nobody. I think this team is good enough that there's no weak links, like super weak links that hurt the team. I'm being honest. I think the nobody in the bottom tier is respectable, and I think that's it. Nobody. So there we go. So here's all your tiers as it is. I tried to make it readable. I hope it's better than the whiteboard, and if people tell me that the whiteboard was better, I'm going to be pissed because I put in some time on Microsoft Word, and then I taped up the blockers and all that, which kind of looks stupid, but I tried to do it better. You could read it better, hopefully. Hopefully. It may not have been as... Actually, this may be actually shorter than the other two I've done for player pyramids, but yeah. We'll see. So with that being said, here's your player pyramid. I'll give you a closer look. So with that being said, thank you for watching. If you like this video, like it, share, subscribe. You know what it is as well. Hit that join button or that second link in my description to become a YouTube member. $1.99 a month or $4.99 a month. Anything is appreciated. Would be much appreciated. Help support the channel as well. Like, share, subscribe. Hit that big red bell notification once you subscribed. Hit that second link or that join button. Put comments. Send super chats in the live streams. Put this in playlist. Share with your friends and family. All that great stuff. Next time you see me will be Tuesday night for a doubleheader. A live of Montreal versus Santos Laguna. And a review of Guastatoya versus Leon in the CONCACAF Champions League. I will see you on Tuesday. It'll be a great day. Be fun. Let's get this week going. More Champions League stuff. MLS is back. All that great stuff. I'm Ryan and I'm out. Peace. See you later. Let's go.